When the man woke up from his coma, he found a terrible thing. He saw 3 men holding him and his daughter to the ground. Before he could react, the priest in the lead drew a strange black eye on his daughter's forehead, and then forcibly lifted his daughter and opened his eyes. Then, the next second, his daughter seemed to see something terrible. Her normal eyes mutated. Then, regardless of the man's pleading, she jumped off the building without hesitation in front of him. This scene in front of him immediately made Dashan collapse. Just as he was about to rush up to avenge his daughter, a pair of familiar little hands suddenly grabbed him. Dashan slowly lowered his head and found that his daughter who had jumped off the building had come back to life. Then, under the instigation of his daughter, Dashan began to be keen on this act of salvation. He firmly believed that only by letting people die successfully could their souls become beams of light and ascend to heaven. Listening to Dashan's explanation, Haimei suddenly felt that he must be crazy, because there was no so-called daughter in his mouth. Then he hurriedly took Sophia to the top floor, but they couldn't run fast in this environment. Seeing that Dashan had caught up, Haimei hurriedly took an antenna to speculate, but accidentally fell from the roof. Fortunately, the scaffolding below saved her life, but she also fainted. Dashan saw this and hurried over to check on Sophia's situation. Unexpectedly, his daughter suddenly appeared again and bewitched him to take off Sophia's eye mask. When Dashan was struggling to do this, he suddenly saw a lot of blood flowing from his daughter's forehead. The blood realized that all this was an illusion, and Dashan collapsed immediately. There was no place to tell the stupid things he had done before. This time, Dashan finally defeated his inner demon. He then woke up the unconscious Haimei and took them to a safe place to explain everything. However, when Dashan was about to take them away, the people from the eye-opening organization caught up with them. Dashan wrestled with them and didn't realize that she was also an eye-opener until she tore off Dashan's black eye mask. For this judgment that went against God's will, the woman decided to punish Dashan and tried to dig out his eyeballs with her hands, but she was pushed off a 100-meter-high building due to carelessness. Then Dashan hurriedly found a car and planned to personally send the two to the military shelter, but to get in, they had to take the cable car, so Dashan parked the car across the gate and lit a piece of cloth on the fuel tank. When the eye-openers came after them, the car just exploded, and several little Karas were instantly killed. Then, in order to buy them time, Dashan decided to stay and block the priest of the eye-openers organization. Haimei could only pull Sophia up, but something was following them. At this time, she had no time to think. After counting the time for the cable car to arrive in her mind, she jumped over without hesitation. On the other side, Dashan pulled out an iron rod and chose to die with the priest. Looking at the cable car gradually going away in the sky, Dashan made his own redemption with his life. Soon, soldiers found the two of them in the cable car and took them to the shelter set up by the military. Here Sophia also found her lost mother. Then the medical staff began to draw blood for tests on everyone who entered the shelter to see if there were any mutated people with open eyes sneaking in. After injecting their blood into the mice, the computer data showed that everything was normal. However, no one noticed that the animals in the cages on the other side fell into a state of madness at the same time.